Casting with this special someone joining me live right now on Twitter, on YouTube, right here at Subway Sports Talk. An 8-year culmination to talk about our New York Knicks about to play basketball in the NBA goddamn finals. This is not a drill, people. This is real. The New York Knicks on Wednesday night will take on the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA finals. Can you believe it? I hardly can. We're live on Subway Sports Talk, people.
Please.
Alec Argento, my friend. All right, here we go. We are live on Subway Sports Talk. My name is Peter Kennedy, and I'm your host, joined by Alec Argento. I kind of spoiled that one already. My guy, talking New York Knicks. Wherever you're listening, live on Twitter, live on YouTube, or on your podcast app, Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you for tuning in. This is not a drill. The Knicks are in the finals. And of course, if you are a Subway Sports Talk listener, a Sports Blog New York listener, OG type beat, you know the one, the only, Alec Argento is here to talk Knicks. What's up, brother?
Oh, buddy, I am so happy to be here. No longer are we counting, is Kylo Quinn going to be the impact player anymore? This is for real, man. This is full circle, but it'll really be full circle in about 3 weeks when we're walking down the Canyon of Heroes.
Whoa. How about that? Can you imagine that? We're going to talk about, obviously, the predictions, the previews, the matchups, the ins, the outs of the Knicks Spurs series. But for us to be here today was a journey, not just for you and I, Alec, but for all Knicks fans. You already shouted out the one and only Kylo Quinn. I was reminiscing Alonzo Trier moments with a buddy earlier, thinking that Dennis Smith Jr. was going to turn it around once he got into a Knicks uniform. And how can one forget the one, the only, the Frank Ntilikina, Frankie Smokes, OG, my boy, Mindaugas Kuzminskas. This is just recent history, folks. We're not even worried about some of the stuff from the 2000s and all that stuff from our childhood to the 1 year in 2012, 2013 with Carmelo Anthony and Tyson Chandler and Jason Kidd, goddammit, and Steve Novak. Like, this has been a journey. But now this year in particular has been a journey, Alec, with the new head coach in Mike Brown, with the full-fledged rotation, adding not just the starting lineup, but the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys who can make an impact on this team. Not everybody was a believer. Not everybody expected this team to even make it this far once the playoffs started. And I don't know if you know where this is going, but when do you have to apologize to me for calling this team a championship contender all year long, as you constantly texted every single time they lost? This team, man, and not in a good way. When do you officially apologize to me? Do we have to be on the Canyon of Heroes for that?
I mean, nothing in my blood would ever allow me to do something like that. You know that. You've known me for like 20 years now. There's no chance in France that I'm going to be doing something like that. I will say, I think that there are other factors here, and to dismiss the fact that Tibbs could have gotten us here, or any coach could have gotten us here, is I think a fool's errand in doing so. Am I very, very happy? Absolutely. Are we doing things that no other team has done in the history of the NBA? Absolutely. I'm going to celebrate that. But this was a rough regular season, and that I think we needed that first 3 games of the Atlanta series to realize that we could actually be that team on paper that we were supposed to be. So I'm not going to admit it. I'll admit it if we win. I will admit it, and I don't know, I'll get a hat or something like that. Go old school on it.
I appreciate that, and obviously I'm just busting your balls because all year long it was perfectly balanced. I think I sent the Thanos meme holding the little dagger. Perfectly balanced, as all things should be. Because what would happen is the Knicks would be down by 10 in the third quarter, and you go, this team pisses me off, and I text, this game's not over. And then, sometimes it went back and the Knicks came back, and sometimes they lost because they lost a bunch of dumb games all year. So it really was perfectly balanced, as all things should be, I guess, even though where they are today felt like they could have gotten there without some of the struggles and the bumps along the road. But they did somehow get here. And I do agree with you that early in that playoff series, kind of getting punched in the mouth by a team in the Hawks that was super hot, right, coming into the season. And we'll talk about some of the journey for the Knicks and the Spurs and where we are now. But when the Knicks go down 2-1 against, quote unquote, one of the hottest teams in the league coming into the playoffs, we're like, oh my God, is this going to be a travesty? Like, for the Knicks to lose in a pre-final setting this year was not out of the realm of possibilities, obviously.
Nope.
But all expectations, even those not of Knicks fans, would be saying, all right, it's going to be second round. conference finals minimum, right? And then you go
Sure.
down to one, and not just the fans panicked, but it looked like the team panicked but responded. And they said, wait, hold on. We have a bunch of good players. What if we use them for all their strengths? Right? Like it's almost that simple. It's like, wait, OG can also score like 20 a game. Why don't you get aggressive? Oh, Kat, you can pass. You do that. Mikhail, you are allowed to take layups. You should try that. Right? Like all these things started clicking in the right direction at the right time. And perhaps you're right, Alec, that the little punch in the mouth that they received from CJ McCollum and co. in Atlanta made the world of difference, because guess what? They haven't lost since. So let me ask you this, Alec, not to relitigate the entirety of the season too long here. Entering this series, Game 7, Spurs Thunder, was there a lean that you had, a team that you found yourself rooting for so you can see the opposing team, or vice versa?
Yeah, I think what was it 2 years ago when the Sixers got Paul George and they made all their moves. It felt like a rock paper scissors match between the Celtics, the Knicks, and the Sixers for the East. Right? It didn't end up working out that way, but I guess it kind of did because the Knicks were built to beat the Celtics, and they did it last year. I think this year, what it felt like to me, and you can go back to our original preview pod where we said who are the Knicks better than. There was only two teams that I thought that were better than the Knicks. It was the Thunder and the Spurs. I
Did
think
you predict the
that
Spurs preseason? Because that'd be a hell of a prediction. I don't know if you said
maybe
that.
it wasn't. I'm sorry. No, it
It
couldn't
was
have been the
definitely the
Spurs.
Thunder. It wasn't the
Who else
Nuggets,
would it
because
be?
I remember you specifically
No, I'm
saying
anti-Nuggets.
you were kind of like on the Nuggets. I think you might have given.
Maybe it wasn't the
No,
Spurs.
it wasn't the Celtics though, because they were kind of looked at as a who knows with Tatum being out.
And it
Was
definitely
it?
wasn't the Pistons either.
No, certainly not.
No.
It wasn't the Cavs
I
either,
don't
because you never trusted the Cavs.
know. No, anything in the central of any sport, I don't trust
Was
the
it the
central.
what? I feel like you wouldn't have been a Rockets guy. You wouldn't
No,
have been a
couldn't have been.
Lakers guy.
There was one other team, and I can't remember what it is.
But
Nevertheless,
the point is you were convinced the Knicks were a top 3 team in the NBA preseason.
and I think that that's what's been so frustrating about this year.
Right.
Before I answer your question, I think like this season was emblematic of what like the NBA is, right? If you shoot your wad on the regular season, unfortunately, that's going to screw you at the end of the like. That's what happened to the Pistons, right? The Pistons were playing every game with that tenacity, which might be what Tibbs would do, right? And to get that one seed or whatever it is, and then you show your cards throughout the entire season, and then you get to the playoffs, and then you're kind of outed. You don't have an extra like echelon to reach. I think what's going on right now, and that'll I'll talk about this, but I think that the Spurs, the Thunder, and the Knicks are in their own rock paper scissors match right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Spurs were built to beat the Thunder, and I think the Knicks can beat the Spurs. I know that it's not the same as like the regular season or the NBA Cup, but you can glean a good amount from that, right? And I think that I think you can. I don't think you can say, "Hey, this is predictive of it," but you can see how we play. You can see how they play, and that littered with what I've seen throughout the Western Conference Finals. I didn't watch any of the Spurs prior to the Western Conference Finals, but obviously I was all eyes on every game of that series.
Right.
And I feel like we can give different looks than the Thunder do by a lot. We're a very different team. We're similar in some ways. We're a very different team than them. And I think Wemby is going to get a little gassed in the fourth quarter. I think that he's coming off a 7-game series, a tough battle. I know it wasn't like it was back and forth, but most games were pretty much blowouts, just back and forth in there.
Right.
But I see him
basically.
Yeah, I didn't see them putting big bodies on him like the Knicks can do, pulling him out of the paint, allowing, he was allowed to be the freelancer that he was in that series. I think he's going to get tired. You saw it in like 3 or 4 of those games against the Thunder. He was gassed. And if he's taking, shots on the perimeter, you live with that. I think the Knicks, you put OG on him, they have more depth than people act like they do. Putting OG on him is better than Cat or Mitch, and then you get extra fouls out of Mitch. You don't have to worry about the pinky as long as he's playing. He's there to get some to tip the ball a little bit and to tally some fouls for him. So I think the Knicks got the exact matchup that they would hope for. I don't think it's an easy road to victory here, but I think this is the best path that they have, and it really feels like this year is the best opportunity that they're going to have for the foreseeable future and in the past 50 years. So I'm hyped about it.
Yeah, basketball is a weird sport because theoretically, my classic line that Cody O'Connor called me out on last week. two things could be true, right? Basketball is a sport where the better team wins the series most often, right? Or the better / healthier team. Let me add that
Yeah,
caveat because I
yeah,
think the J Dub, AJ Mitchell both being out totally made a major
for
difference,
sure.
right? So let me say the better, healthier team typically wins in a basketball series. That's what happens most of the time. You do have some one-offs, obviously, but that just because the better team won Series A, it doesn't mean they were a better matchup for Series B, right? And I think you could argue that with some of the Knicks matchups this year. I wouldn't, but people are arguing that online, right? Like you could argue the Cavs are better than the Pistons, but the Cavs were also a better matchup for the Knicks than the Pistons were, just
Hmm.
based off regular season, which we now know this regular season in particular, there was a lot of fool's gold out there, a lot of fool's gold. So with the Spurs Thunder pre-series, I said I'd rather play the Spurs. Mid-series, every single game,
That's
I
fair.
said, I think I'd rather play the team that just lost, right? Like because we are such prisoners of the moment, you kind of
Sure.
only remember what you just saw, right? And we just saw a team led by a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old in Wemby and Stephon Castle beat the defending champs. Wow. And I just made a TikTok about this, Alec. If the Knicks just beat that iteration of the Thunder, right? I feel as a Knicks fan, and call me sensitive, call me a crybaby, call me getting mad about a hypothetical like everyone did in the TikTok comments. If the Knicks beat this iteration of the Thunder, the first headline would be Knicks take down broken Thunder team without Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell, right? And that was not the first headline for this Spurs team. And I don't think it should be, but I know it would have been for the Knicks, right? Like, and now all that stuff that like the hypothetical thing that I'm mad about today, it just doesn't matter anymore. Back to the OG of the series, I wanted Knicks Spurs for the Knicks. I wanted that for the
Hmm.
Knicks because I thought the Thunder were better. And I think the Thunder could have technically still been better. They went 7 without their
Sure.
second best player and fourth best player, whatever. Doesn't it feel now though like, oh my God, they're kind of scary, right? Like this alien dude who's French is kind of scary, actually. Like he could really fuck shit up in a series. And I think it's going to be an adjustment for the Knicks and combine that with the 9 days rest and / rust, if you will. I can see Wednesday being particularly difficult for the Knicks, but I do, to your point, agree that the Knicks have many more options than people give them credit for to guard Wemby and to do all the things they need to do to slow that offense down.
I think two things. One, they are young and they are young. And they went from not making the playoffs last year to going all the way to the finals this year. And they're a very emotional team because they're younger. And that's a normal thing. That's not like a shot
Right.
at them, but they're a very emotional team. The Knicks are not an emotional team. And I kind of dig that. But
Right.
this series felt the Western Conference Finals felt like their championship. And I think that's a dangerous game to be played when you're going into a finals. The Knicks took care of business and they were in a different situation, obviously. And I think that they have their eyes on the prize, and I think that there's something to be said there. Um, I don't worry about the rest as much because I would have worried about it in the last series, but I think that you learn what
Right.
worked and what didn't work, right? So that
Well,
they can
and
prepare
I
from
think it
that.
was kind of proven out that like the rest helps for the entirety of the series. It may just make a weird first half in the first game.
Yeah, but I think the first game is important, right? Even if you don't win
Yeah.
it, I
Oh
think it's how you
my
show
God.
up. It's
For
it's
sure.
really really important, right? And then the other thing too is like the way that the Knicks match up. Like the Spurs are a physical team. They're also a foul prone team. The Knicks are a mature team. They will take advantage of that. The Knicks are healthy.
Right.
They have a difference in the Thunder just obviously were decimated there, and they still went to 7. But the Knicks are the healthier team going into it, potentially fully healthy if you count Mitch if he plays and
Right.
whatnot. But also they're a super turnover prone team. Knicks feast on that, right?
Correct.
So now they're getting different looks. They're a younger, more emotional team. If the Knicks can go to up 1-0, I think that kind of tells you everything you need to know about the series there. I don't
For
know that
sure.
they will. I don't know that like that I think they're going into a pretty tough environment there. I think
It's
eventually
gonna be it's
Waters.
gonna be the first time in a long time that the Knicks feel like they're truly away.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And eventually, they're not going to win 15 straight, right? So eventually they're going to. I don't think they're going to win 15 straight. I hope I'm wrong, but I
Yeah,
think
for sure.
I think what all the things that the national media wants Wemby to be the next guy, right? So that you're going to be hearing a lot about how amazing that crew is, and they have a major accomplishment coming out of the Western Conference Finals for sure.
Insane. Yeah.
But like Castle and Vassell, like I don't think they do as well against the Knicks nearly as they did against the Thunder. And I think that outside of Wembanyama, then they are not nearly as deep as the Knicks are. So the best player
Right.
in the series probably Wemby. The better talent, the more talented team is the Knicks, for sure.
Yeah. Let me just caveat that for a second. The best player in the series is Wemby, and I love our boy JB.
Sure.
But the best player in the series is Wemby.
I don't know that he will be the best player in this. I on paper,
for sure. So I see what you're saying. You're saying, will he be the best player in this series?
Yes,
maybe
exactly.
Not. Is he the best player entering the series? I think yes, undoubtedly.
Yes, fair.
Like his both sides impact and what he's done to kind of be this gravitational force on both sides is really next level, right?
Sure.
Like, so sure, we'll let bygones be bygones on that differentiation, if you will. What the Knicks have that I think is very different than the Thunder that the Spurs just won 2 in a row on to finish the series off. The Knicks others, and when I'm saying others in this particular instance, non-Jalen Brunson folks, are vastly more versatile than what the Thunder just put on the floor. And you could probably argue, hey, you know, the Knicks didn't just play the defense that is the Spurs, which is very good, like really, really freaking good, right? But like you think about Chet, really struggled to put the ball on the ground. He could not find, I mean, the guy took 2 shots in game 7. That's unheard of from a guy of his caliber, right? You know, Caruso had some great games, but it's not a guy who you're going to say, hey, go get your own, right? You know, Wallace, same thing. Wallace is not going to go get his own very often. McCain was like all of a sudden the only other guy who can put the ball on the ground and do something. Right. It put insane burden on Shea. It allowed the Spurs to sell out on Shea when they wanted to, right? And they were relying on Hartenstein floaters way more than you want to. And we're Knicks fans. We watch the Hartenstein floater. When it goes in, it's fun. Sometimes you're like, dude, relax. Like, you know, and he made him in. But the Knicks, with what OG and Mikal have been in this past 2 series, or 3 series, really, with Mikal halfway through Atlanta figuring it out, like those 2 players and the versatility they have put a new pressure on this defense. And then obviously Cat having more physicality than Chet is also going to be a difference when it comes to offensive versatility for the Knicks. So you just put those 3 guys out there, huge difference. And you can probably find a lot of comparabilities between Caruso and Josh Hart, streaky shooters, going to be left open. If they hit, great. If they don't, that falls right into the lap of the other team. Josh Hart's a little bit more willing and able to be the playmaker, right? Caruso does it a little bit. He can definitely make plays. I'm not trying to take away. I freaking love Alex Caruso. I think he's an absolute chip that any person would want on their team, just like Josh Hart. I think Josh Hart's a little more able to put the ball on the ground, a little bit more willing to be that facilitator if he needs to. And I think that's going to put a different pressure on this defense than the Thunder weren't able to do without J-Dub and AJ Mitchell for most of the series.
100%. One other thing you didn't mention too, and I didn't mention it either, obviously. And this is where I'll give Brown some credit. You now have a very young head coach. And I understand he's a Popovich disciple, but you have a very young head coach in the finals. And you have Mike Brown, who has probably been to the finals in some coaching capacity, like 10% of the time in the NBA finals, between all of the different teams that he's
as
coached
a head
on.
coach, as a head coach once, but with the Warriors multiple times. And I believe he was the pseudo head
Spurs
coach because assistant with the Spurs, but then pseudo head coach with the Warriors because Kerr was having back issues as well. For at least a couple of finals games. He's
seen it, right? And he's observed it, and he knows. And one thing you've seen throughout, the Spurs haven't had to play a different style of offense, right? Like, or they played their game, and it's worked for them and their opponents. You know, I know that a lot's been made about the Knicks' path to victory here, but like, I'm not really. The Portland Trail Blazers aren't really that big of a.
I'm glad you brought that up. You brought that up. I was going to honestly kind of avoid that, but let me just say this real quick because it really did bother. It bothered me for the last few weeks, and like people, you know, giving it back to me saying like, dude, why are you even bothered like about this hypothetical and blah 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 blah. The Spurs played the Thunder, objectively the hardest series out of any of the Knicks or Spurs series, right? But if you're going to sit here and tell me that the East is trash, you're just lying because you're not evaluating any of the things that were very real prior to the Knicks ass beating of said team, right? Pre-Hawk series, they were one of the hottest teams in the NBA. Everybody,
they scared me. They scared the crap out of me.
You said the Hawks. Sorry to bring this up. You said the Hawks were going to win the series.
I did.
As a Knicks fan, you said the Hawks were going to win the series. But like, everybody pretty much agreed that the Hawks were the worst draw of any team for the top four to get, right?
Yep.
Out of the Sixers and the Magic and the Raptors and the Hawks were the worst one to get. The Knicks got them, and now all of a sudden the Hawks suck and the Knicks got lucky. Bullshit. Number one. Number two, as the Sixers were beating the Celtics coming back from 3-1, everybody was arguing, is this actually a worse matchup for the Knicks? Is
Yep.
Maxey going to be the best player in the
Yep.
series? Joel Embiid is healthy and playing incredible offense. Do they have more talent than the Knicks? Real conversation, real people,
100%.
not just bullshit. So we just forgot the Sixers actually suck because the Knicks beat their ass? No, that's not how it works. And number three, as we entered the Cavs series, after the Pistons and Cavs went 7, both kind of peed their pants a little bit throughout the series, on and off. Oh, the Cavs actually match up great. They haven't seen defenders like Mobley. They haven't seen a defender like Dean Wade on Jalen Brunson.
Right.
This is a really tough matchup for the Knicks. And they won 4 in a row. And now the Cavs suck.
Handily.
Right. Yeah. Handedly besides game 1. That was obviously the crazy comeback overtime. Now the Cavs suck. They're a trash organization, trash team. Trade Mitchell, trade Mobley, trade everybody. Like, at some point, you have to turn around and give credit to the Knicks for not just winning these series, not just sweeping these series, but dominating these teams that were supposed really difficult matchups. So I just needed to say that one more time.
No, but if I could piggyback off that, though, like conversely, if you look at the Spurs, again, the Blazers are not a team that's anybody's writing home about. The Timberwolves were decimated in that series. Everyone was getting hurt left and right in that series.
Right.
Once DiVincenzo went, they didn't have another guy like him on the bench that can like replicate what he was trying to do. Anthony Edwards got hurt for a bit during that series.
He was playing compromised for sure.
100%. And then you look at the Thunder, that was not the Thunder, right? Once you lose J-Dub and AJ Mitchell, like you're not playing the same version of the Thunder. So again, I'm not taking anything away from the Spurs and saying that. All I'm trying to say is it's not that different of a story. And if anything, the Knicks dominating who was in front of them is, to me, a bigger deal than getting through some injury decimated teams. They didn't play an injury decimated team throughout the process. They played fully healthy teams.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think Embiid missed a game, but like at that point, it was like, oh my God, he's actually a liability out there. He can't hang, and I can't believe the Celtics didn't attack this weakness at all. Crazy.
But also, there's are the Sixers better without Joel Embiid argument will always be there for a reason.
For sure,
and that's part of that as well.
For sure, but I'm glad you said that about Portland. Portland was like kind of a lesser version of Atlanta entering the playoffs. Like they're frisky, upstart, good future, young talent, whatever, nice veteran, right, with Drew Holiday. And then like you already outlined with Minnesota. So I couldn't agree more. The Spurs beating the Thunder, impressive nonetheless, even without J-Dub.
Sure.
And maybe because the Spurs had a higher ceiling according to the masses pre-playoffs, that's just sinking in. But why does that pre-playoff thing matter? But the Knicks pre-playoff matchups and how they beat them just doesn't matter. But again, besides the point, let's move on to some matchup concepts in this series, because I think this is where things get incredibly interesting with these two teams. Because we already mentioned with Wemby being 22 and Castle being 21, Dylan Harper being 19, 20 years old. Then you have the rest of like the veteran adjacent players for the Spurs. Fox is 28. He's like the oldest guy besides Cornette.
And hurt.
And playing slightly compromised. Devin Vassell has been fantastic. He's 25. Keldon Johnson's been very good, a little up and down, but mostly good. 26 years old. Luke Cornett's 30, and Carter Bryant's 20, and old Harrison Barnes playing like 10 minutes a game, 33, as like their vet. This is a vastly different team than the Knicks team that when you look at their roster and you see, their guys are pretty much all in their prime, right? Jalen Brunson, 29, OG 28, Josh Hart 30, Mikhail 29, Cat 30, McBride's 25, Mitch is 27, Shamit's 28. These are all like adults who have been around the block, who have done a lot of stuff and have now gotten the scars of multiple playoffs together for the most part. And like Cat's in his 3rd conference finals in a row, now his first finals. These things are going to, I think, matter over time. And from a matchup perspective, Alec, I think it's pretty fair to say Stephon Castle is going to be guarding Jalen Brunson, right? Like that's almost a guarantee that he's going to be guarding Jalen Brunson. Do you expect, and I'm going to say early in the series because we don't know how things will shake out, early in the series, to Jalen Brunson being attack scorer mode, or do you see him with the extra pressure from a defender like Castle really like falling into this facilitator role and letting other guys eat?
I think he's going to attack. I think Castle plays aggressively. I think he's going to foul. He saw it in the Thunder series, right? And I
He
think
had
the
a couple games
difference,
where he was in trouble.
yeah, and I think the difference between Shea and Brunson. I'm not saying Shea's not an amazing player. He's an all-world player, obviously,
He's incredible.
right? But Shea relies more on the free throws than Brunson does. Brunson gets his share of time at the line, but he'll score without getting those foul calls a lot more than
Yeah.
Shea. And I think that's
statistically proven this playoff that Jalen Brunson scored way more points on way less free throws.
right. So I think he's going to be attacking, and I think he's going to be looking to finish as opposed to just looking for the fouls. I think that really frustrated the Spurs too. Those foul calls that was obviously the whole narrative around that series. So I think they're going to. I think it's all about maturity with that team, and I think that they're going to look to get into their heads. The Knicks are good at that. The Knicks are good at getting into people's heads, and you saw it throughout the past 3 series. And I think Brunson's going to attack the hell out of them, and I think you can only do that if Wemby's not going to be floating in the paint. And I think the Knicks have the personnel to do that, which I'm sure is going to be your next question.
Yeah, well, on the Brunson front, the reason why I asked the question the way I did is my like initial gut feeling on like game 1, maybe game 2 included in that is I can see how the Spurs kind of sold out on Shea early. They were like a lot of doubles. You're not going to beat us. And then like Caruso obviously had like some incredible performances and McCain had some big games and moments and et cetera. Like they sold out hard on Shea, and Shea ended up racking up some assist totals, and like maybe it wasn't the best thing for them, but like that was what the game called for. I can see a similar thing happening for the Knicks, and that's where I do think like the others matter more because I think they're a little more versatile in OG and McHale and Cat. But I think Jalen Brunson is going to take a little bit longer to adjust to Castle because, granted, in defense to Brunson here, Dyson Daniels was supposed to shut him down and didn't. With the Philly series, you had guys like Oubre who was supposed to give him fits, and if Paul George got on him a little bit, and Quentin Grimes was supposed to, whatever. Not as much really in the Philly series, but then in Cleveland, Dean Wade did do a good job frequently on Brunson. He just couldn't stay on the floor because he couldn't make a shot. But besides the point, I can see Brunson early not finding his shot spaces. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing because he has been such a willing facilitator and really getting other guys going in a great way. Also, on the foul baiting side of it, I agree that Brunson is not as bad as Shea. Brunson obviously utilizes foul baiting 100%.
Sure, 100%.
I kind of find with Brunson's tactics that he kind of picks his spots on when he wants to do it. If he's like a little tired, if he just got his ass rode from 94 feet a couple possessions in a row, then he'll kind of find that time to stop at the elbow and make Castle run into him, right? Like then he'll kind of get that pump fake going to get the foul call. He's not going to do it on every attempt because he's trying to score constantly, but he will pull it out like when he's a little tired, when he sees Castle's maybe a little tired, when he's getting a little overzealous. And that's how you kind of do a foul baiting scheme without pissing off the masses in a way. And I think Brunson's done a great job this playoff. Like, I'm not really doing that, but if you give me the chance to, I'm going to take it. And I think Castle will have to figure out how not to do that against a different guy from Shea.
Yeah, I can see that. I think it's all the other part though is in his attacking, Brunson can also hit the 3 better than Shea can. And I think that helps as well. I think that the Knicks stretch the floor just so much better than any team that the Spurs have played this. And again, you look at what they did against the Spurs this year. I know they lost that one game when the Knicks were, losing to everyone for a month. But outside of that, the Knicks handled the Spurs pretty well throughout the season and including the cup game. So I think you can kind of look to that to see what's going on there. But also what they've shown this whole playoffs is they can adjust really easily if they need to a different scheme, to a different point of attack, to a different facilitator as need be. You could be Brunson attacking, it could be Cat attacking, you could be getting it from McHale and OG, and they're taking what the games give them. And I think that's where you have the advantage against a very young head coach.
Yeah, and then moving on from that matchup with Castle and Brunson, and we'll flop sides on like kind of who the Knicks are going to be guarding in a minute here. After the obvious Castle on Brunson that we kind of agree on there, I think the other ones are question marks, right? Like, so Fox is going to be starting, Vassell is going to be starting, Champagne's probably going to be starting. I assume that's kind of what they rode with for the most part. Maybe Harper might start. I don't know. They mostly went Champagne. And then Wemby will be probably floating on Josh Hart. That's almost a foregone conclusion. I want to point to OG and Mikal because I think that could be one of the advantages for the Knicks, right? So it's going to be either Vassell on OG or Vassell on Mikal. In my opinion, if Vassell's on Mikal, OG's got a great matchup. He's bigger and stronger than Champagnie and Fox. He's and if Vassell gets on him, I think he still gets a little more physical than Vassell, but Vassell's probably a better defender, right? If on the flip side, if Mikal has Fox on him or Champagnie on him, he's way longer. He's been way more interested in attacking the rim. So these things could be the advantage. Who do you see out of those guys, Vassell, Fox, Champagnie, guarding said OG and Mikal? Or I should say, who do you want? Like, is there a matchup that you like out of that?
I'm not worried about that's why I have this confidence in here. I mean, I think Vassell's the guy that they want on him.
On who? On OG or Mikal?
On OG, I think that they don't have the size. That's the reality. Is they don't have the size anywhere on the ball outside of Brunson and on Wembanyama. So the 2, 3, 4. That's where you're going to live and breathe when you're in the Knicks. So I think they could put. Champagnie doesn't worry me. I know he's a great story. It's a really fun thing. Eventually, that guy's going to turn back into a pumpkin. I just feel it in my bones.
He's like he's realistically probably like a 7th guy, and he's like their 5th guy because he's playing the most aggressive and shooting the best.
Right, but he's a difference maker for them, right? Like he's their 5th guy, but he's a pivotal part of what they're trying to do.
Like and Harper could be better than him already, but is like a 19-year-old.
Yeah, Harper's great, but he's 19 years old. That's exactly it. Yeah. And I don't know if you want a 19-year-old being your secondary guy in the finals against.
And I freaking love Harper too. I think he's been so impressive.
He's great.
But I do agree. Him guarding, AJ Mitchell is much different than guarding OG. They're completely different players. Like OG will be like, oh, you're really good, but guess what? I'm got like 40 pounds on you and like 6 inches.
And I don't know the stats on it, but like I feel like every time we ever play De'Aaron Fox on whatever team he's on, we absolutely whoop his ass too. So like I'm not super worried about him.
And he doesn't seem 100%. Like
no.
Furthermore, to this matchup question, we haven't talked about Cat yet, and to me, on all 3 of these series so far, I have been calling out Cat as like the X factor difference maker because
100%.
He is so easily a matchup nightmare for teams with the way he's currently playing. Because if you go ahead and say, all right, well, Wemby's going to guard Hart so he can freelance a bit, right? That's like, again, almost a foregone conclusion that Wemby's going to be on Hart so he can freelance. Who's guarding Cat? Who is
they have nobody. They don't have anybody. You're going to put Luke Cornett out there with Wemby?
Cornett plays 12 minutes a game. Like that's not going to be enough.
Right? No, so I know. That's what I'm saying. They have nobody.
Other teams were putting like some smaller guys on him. Like Harden was guarding Cat a lot early in the last series. You had like the Paul George Oubre situation on Cat at certain points in the last series. Like if Cat is at the top of the key trying to run some of the stuff they've been running, that little flex play they run with the double screens down low, like Cat's ability to shoot over Fox, Vassell, or Champagnie or Harper or drive on those guys could be a major difference maker as well, especially with how he's passing, because if you can get Wemby to overcommit, that's how Josh Hart's wide open in the corner and he's either wide open or they decide to close out and the ball swings and something else comes up. So who guards Cat beyond who's going to guard OG and Mikal becomes a big question mark to me as well.
Yeah, Cat's the X factor of the whole series, right? As Cat goes, the series goes. The worry you have with Cat is always the worry you have with Cat is he going to last the entire game with his foul trouble, and that worries the hell out of me in this series, right?
Knock on some wood. It hasn't been a major issue. What has it been? 1 or 2 games where he was truly in trouble so far this series?
Yeah, but he's going to be. He might not be the primary defender, but he's going to be on Wemby a lot. He has to be, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't think the most.
No, but he's going to be on He's going to be on Cat second most, I would assume. On Wemby second most, right? And Wemby's going to get his whistles, right? I think that's the difference too, is because Cat's a bigger body, and you always know that the bigger bodies don't get the whistles as the smaller bodies do.
He's a little handsy. He's a little reachy.
He's definitely a little reachy, and that's going to be the point of emphasis there. And you got to hope that Mitch can come in and be part of the series to spell that, because otherwise, like if Cat picks up, and he very well could, 3 fouls in the first 15 minutes of the game, then we're in trouble. And I could see that happening at least one game in the series for sure.
100%. And how they rebound off of this this main starting lineup situation is going to be huge as well. Like Cat's rebounded incredibly well this series. He's rebounded incredibly well all year, to be quite honest. And then obviously Mitch's offense rebounding has been a major factor in so many moments for this Knicks team, and specifically in that NBA Cup game with his 10 offensive rebounds in like 18 minutes, which was not a fake number. That's not an exaggeration number. That's actually what happened. Yeah, so I'm super interested to see how Wemby is going to operate defensively when it's not a weird, scared version of Chet, right? Because I'm not trying to throw shade at Chet because I think he's a
No,
great
for
player.
sure.
He just made All NBA for God's sakes, but clearly Chet could not get going in this series, and Wemby wasn't even guarding him most of the time, right? So
But
what was Chet's problem, and how is Cat not going to have that problem? I don't think Cat will.
Sorry, a little fuzzy there. I didn't hear the last part of what you were saying. But so who do you think they put on him then? Who could they possibly put on Cat? It's got to be Wemby. How could they not put Wemby on him?
No, they're not going to do that. There's no chance.
I know that they're not. I know that they don't. I know that their game plan is saying
it's going to be Champagne
on Hart.
Like that.
That's ridiculous. He's going to cook the entire series. Then
he hasn't been overly, incredibly like aggressive with his shots this series or this playoffs, right? Like what's Cat's taking currently? He's taking 14 shots a game actually, which is pretty reasonable. 50% from the field, 37% from three, like shooting incredibly efficient. That's regular season. I think.
No, he was very aggressive in the Hawk series.
He's only taking 10 shots a game. Sorry, 10 shots a game, 57% from the field, 49% from three. So that's even better for the efficiency, but not as many shots. If Champagne or Vassell are on Cat, he's going to have to attack the rim and then be ready to finish strong or pass. Right, because
those numbers are a bit skewed though, because of the blowouts too.
Sure.
I mean, half of the starting lineup hasn't played in the fourth quarter of like half of the games that we played in the playoffs. So
totally fair.
And I also and you look at Cat in the Atlanta series when they needed him to be aggressive, he was aggressive. I remember texting you as soon as he started doing it. I said, "Where has this Cat been this entire year?" So he's got it in his bag. He just hasn't had to use it. So I don't know. If I were him, I'd be driving nonstop in the series.
Right. And obviously what we haven't really considered with this entire thing is like what Wemby does to all rim attacks, right? You saw it with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the most efficient players of the decade, right? Guy, even with all the foul baiting, like throw that all out the window for a second. He makes over 50% of his shots as a guy who's like 6'4", incredibly impressive. Mid-range is insane. Wemby adjusts everything, right? His presence makes all the shots different. And if Cat can't get comfortable with some of those shots and attacks, that could be a problem, right? But that's where his passing has been the major difference maker for him in this whole playoff run, right? He's averaging 6 assists a game, and he's had recently a few games with like 1 or 2. So pre those last 2 games where they were dominant, like he was getting 7, 8, 9 assists regularly.
Yeah,
so like the passing is going to be huge, and we haven't talked about any of the subs yet. Like when Keldon Johnson plays, because he's going to play quite a bit. Landry Shamet comes in and they have 5 shooters on the floor. Like all these things change a lot to do with this series and the matchups.
Yeah. No, I also think, I mean, you said it before though, but like obviously the rim protection that you get out of Wemby is insane. But the Knicks have so much dynamism to this offense that they don't have to rely on that. Yeah, you're going to keep going to the well as much as you can. You have to do it to keep them honest. But Mikal Bridges was shooting what 150% field goal percentage this playoffs. Like all mid ranges and 3-pointers. Everyone on this team can kill you from 3. Josh Hart has had an up and down playoffs with the 3, but he's a 41% shooter on the regular season from 3. If need be, if you're going to call him out like that, he's going to hit what do you like?
He's
45 threes in that one.
Yeah,
right. And you got it. If you're him, if you're Josh Hart, you got to take those. So I think the Knicks have enough rebounding on their own. And Wemby changes a lot, but I mean, I just think it's a really good matchup for the Knicks. They have Wemby and 4 guards, and the Knicks have so much size.
Yeah, and that's where one more shout to the starting lineup bunch really is Mikal Bridges. Is he going to be still attacking the rim? And I don't mean getting in the paint and fading away. Like, is he going to attempt layups and dunks? Because when he does that, simply attempts layups and dunks, everything about his offensive game is so much better, right?
Yep.
Like he gets more open jumpers He gets that midi that he does like a little bit easier because they actually say, "Oh my God, he's going to take a layup." Because all
Hmm.
regular season, once he fell in love with that little
Yep.
fadeaway, last playoff was when it really all started. It was like, "Oh, we don't have to worry about him going to the rim. He's just going to take this dumb fadeaway. Like if he
Right.
makes it, he makes it. He makes it. He makes it." You know. So if he has Fox on him or Harper or Champagny, Harper's a great defender. Don't get me wrong, but Mikhail's got length on those
Yeah.
guys, and he has to get that ball to the rim, finish the layups, make it happen, and that's going to be a big difference as well. Excuse me. Now on the other side of it, right? We are, I should say, I believe we're going to see mostly OG on Wemby to start games, and in key moments where the whole starting lineup's in for both sides. Is that something that you agree with? Do you see that happening? Do you like that
Absolutely.
happening?
Yeah, he's going to be the. I do love that. I mean, there's a stat out there that OG is the best defender against Wembanyama, like against qualified players in the league. He's yes, he's like a foot shorter, but he's got so much physicality, so much size, and so much
Length.
wingspan. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
got so much wingspan that he like. Yeah, he's still gonna be a little short-handed, but he's gonna tire the hell out of Wemby, and that's what you want because he's still 23 years old and he's like 190 pounds sopping wet. So it's exactly what you want. And I think when you spelled out with Cat, who's also a big body and physical and exhausted, if Cat does some low post stuff too to just kind of tire him out a little bit, I think that's really good. So all about OG on him as the primary. I think I don't need OG on anyone else on that starting lineup. So you want OG on their best player, and that's who Wemby is, and that makes me happy.
Right. I think OG, and we've watched enough Hartenstein in our life, and what we just saw out of Hartenstein in that playoff. I think OG can do a lot of the things that Hartenstein did without some of the dirtiness and foul possibilities. Right. Like I think
Yep.
there was the one game in the second game two, maybe Hartenstein just
Yeah.
started grabbing and yanking the shit out of him. Like he was just grabbing his arm and pulling it and doing all this
Yep.
stuff to kind of get Wemby uncomfortable. OG does similar stuff without the yanking and the pulling. He's kind of just like in your chest, kind of just
Yep.
like feeling him, boxing him out, and things of that nature. I like that a lot. And what that does for Mikhail and Bridges is puts Mikhail on probably, if I had to guess, Castle, and I said Mikhail and Bridges, Mikhail on Castle, and then Hart on Fox, or vice versa. I think those are very switchable matchups. No, wait, did I say Vassell?
Hmm.
Oh, sorry. It puts Mikhail on Vassell. There we
Hmm.
go. It'll put Josh Hart on probably shit. This is where it gets interesting now, Alec, because now I'm thinking about it. If OG's on Wemby, Hart and Mikhail are going to take the better two offensive players out of, I guess Brunson guards Champagny, or who's Cat guard?
I would.
Cat
Well,
guards Champagny.
that's why I think it's a little tough, right? That's why I was saying earlier that you're going to get a good amount of minutes on of Cat on Wemby.
Right, because you need probably OG on Vassell to realign Brunson defensively a little bit as
Correct.
well.
Correct.
To let Brunson guard Champagny, and maybe I guess the thing is, like, Fox is maybe a scarier offensive player for Brunson to guard in theory, but Castle's so physical that I can see that being difficult for Brunson as well.
How tall is Champagny?
Brunson's going to take a lot of charges on Castle, if I had to guess.
Big time. Big time. Big time.
And this is why, like, my confidence level in the Knicks exists, but it's not like sky high, because breaking down that matchup for the Knicks on defense is not that simple, right? Like if you have OG on Wemby and Cat on Champagny as like the two musts, Brunson can easily be switched onto Vassell, which you don't like. You can be switched onto Fox, which you don't love, and on Castle, you don't love. And how much are they going to try to attack Brunson?
Yeah, but the same could be said on the other side of the ball too, right? Like Brunson's going to be hunting his matchups out there too.
Right. Like he'll probably hunt. I guess he'll hunt Fox most. He's the lesser defender of the bunch, but he's not a bad defender by any means.
Yeah. I also think, I mean, we'll get to it, but Knicks should win all of the bench minutes, right? When Wemby's not out there, Knicks bench is so much better than the Spurs bench. They should be forcefully.
You're not scared of the ghost of Cornette's past?
Yeah, Harrison Barnes and Luke Cornet. Yeah, I'm not super worried about them.
Cornet kind of crushed us when he was with Boston a couple years ago.
Yeah. I mean, Cornet's not a bad player, but I mean,
no,
I'm just not as, and I know he did well in the Thunder series, but I think that the Knicks should handily win the bench points, the
Well,
bench
to
minutes.
go, so let's go to the bench then. I think that's where Deuce McBride's value is highest, right? Because when he's in the game, okay, this guy can guard Castle or Fox or Harper. Like he's going to be the guy who's tasked with the most difficult offensive matchup or defensive matchup if OG is on Wemby, right? Because like if OG is on Castle, I like that for us. I think if OG is on Vassell, I like that for us. Again, it all kind of depends on Fox's health too, but Deuce's defense plays a massive role in this front as well. And you got to give some shouts to Landry Shamet, who
I was just about
has
to say.
a reputation of a shooter, but the guy has been freaking hardcore defensive intensity, like all playoffs and all season.
Clarkson too has been playing good on defense.
100%. Yeah.
So
And
yeah, I
rebounding.
mean, well, yeah, one thing that I know you always like. I'm a big like eye test kind of guy, and the intangibles and the context of everything. This Knicks team has a lot of champions on this team, or people who have gotten to this point before, or something similar, right? Shamet's been there, and you got the Villanova boys who have won national championships. You have Mikal Bridges who made the finals with the Suns, like all over the place. This team, OG won a championship with Toronto. Like this has a bunch of champions there, and I think that these people are just ready for the moment. And then you have people who have knocked on the door, right? Well, everyone on the Knicks who have been here already. Deuce is one of them, and I just think that they're going to rise to the occasion whenever given the opportunity. And Deuce is emblematic of that in and of himself, right? Yeah, he's a playoff riser every year, right? He's always hitting knockdown threes. He always rattles them in contested, and I'm excited to just see what he does out there.
Yeah, and I think with the others in San Antonio, it gets a little shorter, a little quicker. Like Carter Bryant is a guy who Knicks fans might not be super familiar with. He's a rookie, neophyte, etc. All the Clyde Frazier euphemisms, if you will. He's 20 years old. He's going to come in for 12 minutes and probably guard Brunson because he is 6'9", super fast, super physical. He's going to be pushing him around. He's going to do a lot of stuff. He can kind of shoot a three ball a little bit here and there. Like that guy, Carter Bryant, the Knicks have to find a way to make him unplayable, right? You have to find a way to make Luke Cornett unplayable. And that could be the difference in any game, right? Any in particular game. If you find those little moments to say, hey, guess what, Wemby? You're playing 42 tonight because Cornett can't
Right.
see the floor,
Right.
right? And like what the Knicks did to Joel Embiid, what I think the Knicks would have done to Vucevic and Neemias Queta if they got the Celtics in that series, what they did occasionally to the Cavs with Harden, getting him in space. Like if they can find times to get Cornett in space like that and just bully him in a way, like he's off the court. He's not playing. Like
Right.
he's not going to see any time. And then you're stretching Wemby out even further. You're making him go 40 minutes, which is not something he probably wants to keep doing, frankly, for if he has another long series ahead of him.
100%. I mean, do you see them not being put in that position?
Luke Cornett?
Yeah, Luke Cornett and just the entire Carter Bryant and Luke Cornett. I mean, they're going to be hunted when they're out there. They're going to be played very aggressively.
Bryant's been very good defensively. So he only plays 10 minutes a game. He's been impressive in that way. He just gets a little overzealous. So like if he comes in, he might just get 2-3 fouls and kind of suck, and it might not work. Right. I'm curious to look at his game log. Like I could see him in every game just off the top of my head. I don't know yet. Like, oh, he played 10 minutes this game and he was plus 12. And then he played 10 minutes next game and he was minus 10. Right. Like I could see that kind of going either way. And let's see if my gut check here is correct. Playoffs, Carter Bryant, this past series. Oh, he was minus in all the Thunder games except for the last two. He was, oh no, here you go. First game of the series, plus 10 in 13 minutes. Next game of the series, minus 10 in 10 minutes. Then minus 10 in 10 minutes. Then minus 10 in 6 minutes. Minus 4, plus 2, plus 2. So yeah, honestly, my gut was kind of right there. He's going to be in there for 10 minutes and he might have 4 fouls in 6 minutes, which happened in game 4. Wow. My instinct was incredibly right. He had 4 fouls in 6 minutes and was minus 10. That could happen if the Knicks attack him properly and get him a little overzealous as a 20-year-old with a lot of potential, but not ready for maybe this moment yet.
Follow-up question. How do you think the whistle is going to be in this series? Obviously, there was a huge narrative in the Western Conference Finals about this. I know Brunson's going to be like catch the ire of the national attention for him getting all the fouls that that he's going to get in the series. But do you think it's going to be? Do you think that, like, I guess, open-ended question? How do you think the whistle is going to be in this series, and who do you think it benefits?
I think the whistle's going to be a little bit held back. I think they're going
Hope
to let the
so.
boys play a little bit. I think on this stage, this moment, this many eyeballs, because we haven't even talked about this yet. This is going to be probably one of the most watched finals
Yep,
of the century, right? Like
big
probably
time.
only, if only, behind like three-peat Lakers and
Heat,
freaking LeBron Warriors year 3 and 4. Like, like
sure.
I think that's the realm of ratings this is going to be in. And I think the whistle is going to be purposely not a factor most games. There will be
And then
moments, there will be some shit. And I'm sure the Spurs fans will complain if Brunson gets a couple this, and the Knicks fans will complain if Wemby gets a couple that. But I don't see the NBA having a very strict whistle in this series.
and do you think I would think that would benefit the Spurs? They play more
Um,
aggressively. They play more, for lack of a better word, recklessly. And the Knicks have not shown at any point this season to be a very in-your-face, physical, up and down the court type of defensive team at
yeah,
any point.
I think you might be right on that front. The difference is, like, and I was watching that Spurs Thunder series, and I totally get like the Shea complaints. I really
Sure.
do. He was also getting fouled a lot,
Yeah, he was getting hacked.
right?
He was
Like
totally getting hacked.
they were calling the fouls for the most part,
Yep.
right? Like, and sometimes it's both things happen at the same time. Like he completely flops, but he also got fouled.
Yep. 100%.
So when I say the whistle is going to be a little bit looser, if that's the right term, like lesser, I should say, just to be clear, lesser. I don't know if that makes the impact the Spurs need it to, because when the Spurs foul, they foul. You know,
True. Hard
like
fouls.
they really be fouling.
Yep.
Like, and I think that's true. I'm also curious, like, what is Wemby's defensive whistle going to be like? And Cat historically has one of the worst whistles that we've ever seen.
Yep.
Granted, he's such an idiot sometimes with fouls on both sides of the ball. He gets a pretty horrible whistle to boot. If you can find a way to get Wemby in foul trouble, I mean, that's just cooking with freaking
I just don't see.
grease.
I just don't see Wemby getting calls like that in the finals, and I think
He almost fouled out of Game 7.
Yeah, I just don't. I think that was a weird series with that whistle. I mean, that was the entire narrative of that series was the referees. I don't. I think. I think it's weird. This is, like you said, this is a finals that we don't normally see. There's no like villain, right? There's no repeating. There's somebody who won a championship within the past couple of years, and I don't know who that's going to benefit, right? But I do think it's going to benefit someone, and I think what I worry about is that the league wants Wemby to be the next great player in this league. And I
I
think
don't
that's
worry
going to.
about that, and here's why. Victor Wembanyama is 22 years old. He is, in all phases of NBA history, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years ahead of schedule here. Like, you
Sure.
think about Michael Jeffrey Jordan. He didn't win a championship till what, year 7? Maybe
You
8.
tell me.
LeBron James, same thing. Like, I think SGA not being a superstar for his first couple of years changes like his math a little bit, but he was in the playoffs 4 times as like the guy before he won a title. That's even like pretty crazy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Jokic was in the playoffs, I think 4 times before he won a title. This is Wemby's first playoff. So as a basketball fan and NBA truther and understanding the big picture, I totally understand what's at stake of like, this is going to be a 1-of-1 championship if the Spurs win. Never have you ever seen somebody this young be the best player by a long shot on a team that won a finals, right? I think the closest thing you could see is Magic Johnson when Kareem got hurt for like a portion of the series or something like that. He was super young. That's still different from this. The Lakers were perennial contenders, like with that roster and everything. This Spurs team was a lottery team last year.
Yeah.
And now they're in the NBA finals. So I understand the precedent of how insane that is. But we're also talking about the New York Knicks, destitute of a finals win for 50 plus years.
Yep.
Haven't seen a final since 99. The Garden is going to create the most expensive ticket in sports history in the country, if not the world. That's not an exaggeration, right? Like
No,
the
it isn't.
finals at the Garden is going to be one of the most expensive sporting events in the history of the world. That also is pretty huge for the Knicks, for the NBA.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
if you're going to go conspiracy tinfoil hat, I think there's two sides to the coin.
no, I don't see it as a conspiracy. I'm never the kind of guy who's like, this is the fix is in, Scott
For sure.
Foster's here or whatever.
Me
Like
neither.
that's
Me neither.
yeah. But I do wonder. I do think that there are some. The one thing that is factual within the NBA is that fouls are not consistent, and they're dependent upon the player. Right, that's always been the case. And
For
you know,
sure.
the bigger you are, the stronger you are, the less you're going to get calls. That thing, you know, if you're a star player, you're going to get an easier whistle. That's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
But I do think that like that stuff creeps in. There's always subconscious bias with that kind of stuff, and both. That's why I said before, this is such an interesting series because both would be really, really good for the NBA. Whoever wins this finals, it's really, really good for the NBA. And I wonder how that's going to impact things.
Yeah,
True.
the NBA already won this playoff. I mean, the ratings have been really, really good all year, sneakily, like very sneaky, good stuff for most of the year. And the playoff ratings have been really good. And it's not a coincidence that the biggest market in the country, with a team that has the most fans probably in the country, just based off pure and sheer numbers, right? Like, is in the finals, and a freak that we've never seen before in our lives is on the other side of it for a historic franchise that's probably been the most consistent in our lifetime.
Yep.
This is, you actually couldn't have written it up better. And the Thunder Knicks, which was the other outcome, obviously, was like going for back-to-back versus New York City, which is also huge. So the NBA won already, which is special. I mean, it's going to be special stuff.
All right. I interrupted a million of your questions. I'm sorry. I'm just into it. Continue.
No, I'm not at all. This is back and forth. This is amazing. And you know what? Now that we're almost an hour into the podcast here, it's a good time to say Subway Sports Talk, P. Kennedy, Alec Argento, et cetera, et cetera. We haven't stopped once because we're just reeling right now. You know, you and I have been doing this podcast for the most part on and off for some 8 years now, something like that, right? Like when I started this podcast, with a different name on a different network and a different channel and in like 2018 or 2018 probably. We were sitting in your basement talking
on this couch,
on that couch from your basement, which is in a new house in a new state, not that far away, but still it works for the story. We were talking about like the drafting of Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, is that error correct? Maybe we were talking about Porzingis. I don't know if it was the draft that we did. Maybe it was. Frank Ntilikina, right? We started touching on some of these people already. This is special for you and I. So we can riff on this however the hell we want. This is me and you hanging out, having fun. We had to do this episode together, and I appreciate having you here. So let me ask you from a narrative perspective, and this could be any of the matchups that we talked about. This could be any of the, you know, more ambiguous narrative things that we just kind of touched on. To you as a Knicks fan, so I'm putting that bias allowance here. What is the biggest, most crucial narrative for this entire series for you? I'm talking like as big picture as you want it to go. And I'm saying be biased. I'm not talking about like, oh, Wemby's the future. Like that's it. Like I'm saying be biased.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest narrative for me, my Alec narrative, is the steps it took to get here, man. It's just like this has been a long time coming, and what part of what I think about, like, you got to lose before you can win. I really do believe that in any sport, like maybe not football, but you got to take the steps it takes to get there.
Even still, probably, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the Eagles going from like, out of nowhere from bottom dweller to a Super Bowl. Giants have done that before. Yada yada yada. But like, take that and then extrapolate that to everything it's taken for the Knicks, especially like maybe not the last 20 years, because then there was that, the D'Antoni, Woodson years and everything like that. But everything following that 2013 season, and then the Aaron Maflalos and Lou Amundsen's and
Lance Thomas.
Right, Phil Jackson and Steve Mills and everything. And then one day we got Leon Rose, and all of the Kristaps Porzingis, forcing a trades go away, right? And they kind of happen instantaneously. And this, like, the narrative for me is like just shout outs all across the board for everyone who got us here, man. It's Tom Thibodeau, it's Julius Randle, it's it's Quentin Grimes and Emmanuel Quickley and RJ Barrett, the pieces that started this foundation, even the Alfred Paytons of the world and everything, right? That just the guys that kind of steadied the ship, that we can
Reggie
just get
Bullock.
over and yeah, man. And you saw this incrementally and like this turnaround for a team that has just been so starved and a fan base I truly believe is the best fan base in sports. I've been in the Garden in playoffs and I've been to every Yankee playoff since I was a kid and Giants playoff games and everything. There's nothing like the Knicks fan base. They're just ravenous and they're blind and stupid and we just care and I had season tickets back in the day and I remember going to 17 win season games and rooting for for every
I was
bucket
with you.
that goes in. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember, I'll never forget, me and Pete
Evan
went
Fournier.
to yes, but do you remember when we went to the game where Derrick Rose decided not to show up?
Yes. Oh my God. And then
So
we loved Derek later on in his second Knicks
yeah,
career.
another shout out, another guy who built this from the ground up. So
100%. Shout out to Derrick Rose.
and I think that one thing that's really special about the NBA that other sports don't have is that like being in the finals is an accomplishment. Nobody looks at that as like anything less than like something like when the Yankees made the World Series and got smacked around by the Dodgers, that was an embarrassment. The Knicks could get swept in this series and everyone will say, well, I don't think they will. I'm pretty confident they won't. But I'm just saying the Knicks can the fact that they got here after being the laughing stock of not just the NBA but of sports is such a special thing, and that's the big picture narrative that here is the iteration, the journey that it's taken for here. It's nice that Wemby's here and he's ahead of schedule, but like the Spurs have won a million championships, right? It's an embarrassment of riches. They went from Popovich to a really good head coach. They went from Tim Duncan and Tony Parker to Wemby and Kawhi and everything like that. So they're not missing that. Like, there's no hunger. I don't think that fan base has like we do.
They seem like
And
a great fan base too. Like not to like
sure.
Completely offshoot them. Like they seem like a great fan base.
I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
no,
I think there's something special about where we were to where we are, and that should be the narrative because this would be not just good for the NBA. This would be great for sports, and especially because I don't know that the Knicks are going to have this window for much longer. I don't know that they'll ever have an opportunity like this. They are a team in their prime and full of a league full of teams of youth, and I'm very grateful to be here and to see how everything goes. So that's my narrative.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly kind of the answer I was looking for. Not like that exact answer, but that type of answer, right? Because I think this journey is been so long for us. Like we're 30s, we're young 30s here, and it's been mostly down with very few
Yep.
ups. And these last 4 or 5 years, I've definitely had like that mindset for a couple of years now. Like, hey, I dreamed of having a team that made the playoffs every year,
Yeah.
and at the end of like last season, which is a perfect example, you beat the Celtics, which has been one of those carrots you're chasing forever of like beating the Celtics in a playoff series again and like kind of conquering that demon. And then they lose to the Pacers, who were this demon from yesteryear,
Yep.
from the early 2010s and obviously the 90s and et cetera. Like losing to them 2 years in a row. Oh my God. Is this season a failure? And I was always so hard pressed to be like, oh my God, yeah, this is such a failure, epic failure. But from this stupid team and this stupid franchise, like I've appreciated so much a team that's in the playoffs every year. Like we didn't have that for our entire lives. We were making the playoffs like once every 5 years, give or take, with this team for a long stretch. Like we were playing Raptors playoff rounds against Vince Carter in like the mid 2000s, like early 2000s. Like, oh my God, we might win a playoff series with no chance. And granted, like that's probably because our specific age was just too young to truly appreciate like 99,
Yeah.
obviously. But still, the point stands. And for this team to take the steps that they've taken, make it past the first round now multiple times, finally get over that second round hump last year, make the conference finals, get your dick kicked in a epic loss in game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals against one of your biggest rivals, to come back, make not a few, but like a couple technically marginal moves on the roster, but now you feel like this team is so much more competent, so much more better at the peak of their powers. If they can win this series and win the finals, there's a real reason to believe they can win the championship again next year, right? That's something that's going to be a real belief in this franchise and in this fan base. If they lose this series, it's going to feel like, oh my God, we might have one more chance at this. And I think
Yeah.
that pressure is going to demolish Knicks fans, because like
Yeah.
every year as Brunson gets to 32, 33, 34, he might still be awesome. Cat might still be really good. They might not be where they are on June 1st, 2026. So this fulcrum moment for this franchise, it feels like an opportunity that will live in infamy almost no matter what. And I think history will shed positively on this run almost no matter what, maybe barring only a sweep, frankly, or like a gentleman's sweep that wasn't particularly close. Like if they go 6 or 7 here, wow, what a time to be a Knicks fan. What a time to be alive. If they win, blow the fucking doors off every fucking building in Manhattan right now. You know what I mean? And I think that's the moment that like I'm anticipating, that I can't wait for Wednesday. And I feel like we've been stripped of nerves, which has been kind of nice in this playoff. Like when was the last time we felt nerves? Game 1 of Cleveland, maybe game 2 for like 2 seconds in Philly, and then after being down 2-1 in Atlanta. That's kind of the only nerves we felt. Last season, it was nerves every game against Detroit, nerves every game against Boston, nerves every game against Indiana. And it was just like painstaking to watch. And
Yep.
I'm looking forward to some anxiety because I don't think this is going to be a walk in the park by any means, even though I will make my prediction in a moment. I'm looking forward to that anxiety because it's a blessing to have anxiety for your favorite team in your sport.
If I could just piggyback off of that, I know that there's been a lot of narrative of like, well, the Knicks haven't been in a close game for the majority of this playoff run. I don't think it matters. I just don't think it matters right now. I think that they're just this kind of stuff is all about confidence. It's all about being mature and having been there before and knowing what it takes. It's more between the ears than it is, actually, your skill wise and everything like that. So I don't know, man. It feels really good. It feels like a team of destiny kind of situation right now,
Yeah.
and it's fun to be around. And again, no matter what, I'm going to be miserable if they lose any games in this series. But I'm excited to be miserable too.
Now, let me add this too, because I'm glad you just said that. I remember when the Knicks were down 2-1 in Atlanta, I went on TikTok, Subway Sports Talk, go check it out. It is there. It is living proof of this point here. I said, guys, this series is far from over. The Knicks are going to be heard from. I still believe the Knicks are going to win the series. And this is not like a pat myself on the back moment of like, oh, I still predicted it right. Like, no, we have been like forgetting now for 2 series. Like this is how normal playoff series go. Like we went through it every year that we've been in the playoffs, like ups and downs, ups and downs. One loss here in game 1 or game 2 or whatever it may be, like is not the be all end all. This, I believe, is going to be a long series. So we can't overreact too harshly to any particular game. And if the Knicks win by 12 in game 1, right? Like that does not mean they won the series either.
Pressure's all on the Spurs for the game 1. Pressure's all on the Spurs.
Pressure is 100% on the Spurs in game 1. So that being said, Alec, let's get to some predictions here. And before you give me your particular prediction, I want to ask you this question. Do you picture, and this is either way, a long series or a short series? So do you think 4 or 5 or 6 or 7?
I'm like on the borderline. I think it's going to be 5 or 6. I'm going to say 6. I think it's 5 or 6, but I'm going to say 6.
You think either way? I'm not saying outcome one way or the other. You think either way 5? You think 6?
I do.
Okay. I tend to agree. But is there any part of you, and I hate to even say this out loud as a Knicks fan, as we both sit here in Knicks hats, is there any part of you that with the way the last couple of series have gone, that then you think the Knicks might have this weird chance to just dominate? Is that entering your mind at all?
I do. I don't think they'll sweep. I don't think that that's possible. I think it's a 0.0% chance. But I do. I can see them winning in 5, and I can see them losing game 1. I can see them losing game 1 handily. That's the word of the day. But I still think that they can win in 5 games. Like I think they can win 4 games in a row. I think if they steal one in San Antonio, I think we could be celebrating in the Garden for the first time this playoffs. Right, this is the first time we would ever clinch a series on our home court.
Correct. It's been Atlanta, Philly, Cleveland. That'd be special.
And how I don't curse on the pod, but how fucking magical would that be if we just win the championship on Game 5 of Madison Square Garden?
No, I can't. No, game. It would have to be game 4.
I'm sorry.
6.
Sorry. Yes. Wait, no. It's 2-3-2.
No, it's 2-2-1-1-1.
Sure?
I'm like 99.9%
I
sure.
thought it was 2-3-2. Keep talking.
99.9%. Yeah. So let me run through some
Keep
odds here
talking.
for you because I think that's interesting.
You're right.
So here,
You're
yeah,
right.
I know.
2-2-1-1-1.
I know I was. So what do you think according to DraftKings? If according to DraftKings, what do you think is the most likely correct score outcome? So like so and so in X amount of games. What do you think is the most likely according to DraftKings?
I don't understand the question.
So like Spurs in X games, Knicks in
Oh,
X games. What do you think is the high or the best odds, most likely odds to happen?
I'm gonna say in according to DraftKings,
Yeah,
Spurs in 7.
that is correct. Spurs in 7 is the most likely outcome according to DraftKings at plus 310. The second most likely outcome according to DraftKings is guess
Knicks in 6.
Spurs in 5
Oh,
at
ew,
plus
gross.
380. And then it's Knicks in 6 and Spurs in 6 equal odds at plus 500. Knicks in 4 is the lowest odds at
Yeah,
plus 2,000.
you took it.
No, not yet. I might throw something in. Probably not though. Not on that. That's a bad omen. Knicks in 7 is plus 700. Knicks in 5 is plus 1,200. So honestly, based upon what you're saying to me right now, is Knicks in 5 is maybe your most juicy bet that you might actually not feel too
Like it.
crazy about. Yeah, I don't love it either. I don't love it. I just thought it's interesting to think about. The actual odds on the series, just straight up, are Spurs minus 205, Knicks plus 170. Is that a number that when you hear it, you go, okay, that makes sense? Or is that a number that you think is off?
I think it makes sense because the Knicks do not have home court advantage for the first time in the playoffs. I think that's a big difference maker. I think that's something part of the narrative of the Knicks that you could talk about. Like we should not have had home court advantage this entire playoffs, but we did. We lucked out with that.
Right.
And I think you always give that team a bit of an edge. I don't think those are crazy odds. I think to me that says that it's like a 55-45 split between the Spurs
Right.
and the Knicks, and I think that's based off of national coverage. I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, I think to me that kind of reads like if the Knicks had home court here, they'd probably be like minus 140,
Right.
like minus 150. And that
Yeah.
goes to the entire situation, right? Like the Spurs have been better for the entire season. They played the Thunder last series, which is the best team of the bunch. So like I get it. I think if the Knicks had home court, it'd be 140, 150 in the Knicks' favor. And then over under total games is 5.5, but the juice is minus 170 on over. So DraftKings is saying the over is the more likely. Is under 5.5 plus 140, either team wins. Interesting to you or not enough juice
No,
for the squeeze?
no, not for me.
Yeah, my gut is like this is going to be a long series, no matter what.
Really? Okay. All right. Understood
I
there.
think it's 6 or 7 for me. Yes, correct. Yeah. All right, so here we are, hour and 10 minutes into the show. Alec Argento and Pete Kennedy. Let's put the official predictions on wax. I will be posting mine on social media as well, and maybe I'll clip yours and post yours as well, just so we have it out there and really feel the pressure of said prediction. So, would you like to do the honors, or do you want me to go first?
Knicks in 6, baby. Knicks in 6.
Wow. It was always Knicks in 6, Alec.
It was always Knicks in 6.
It was always Knicks in 6. I predicted Knicks in 6 against Atlanta and was correct. Knicks in 6 against Philly and was wrong with the number. I said Knicks in 6 with Cleveland and was wrong with the number. If the Knicks win this series, I think Knicks in 6 is by far and away the most likely outcome. And that's the most likely outcome where Manhattan gets shut down for 48 to 64 hours.
Is okay. So I feel like you. I know me, and I know that I can't let my heart and my head separate. I just never been able to do that with sports. But I feel like your heart and your head are telling you two different things. I feel like
What do you think my head is telling you?
I think you're saying in your head it's Spurs.
No, I don't. I really don't. I
love
actually, and I, when it comes to predictions with the Knicks in particular, you might be right that I probably won't, if it's remotely close, right? Like last year with the Pacers, we were favored to win. So me saying Knicks in 6 was not crazy by any means, right?
Sure.
So with the Celtics, I should say, with the Celtics last year, I said Celtics in 7. I did. So, on wax, I said that the Celtics were going to win that series last year and was wrong, and happy to be wrong. I think the Knicks can win this series, and I think they will win this series.
And then my follow-up question to that, are you I prefer being a dog in the series. Like that I would not want to be the favorite going into this. How are you feeling about that?
You know, that's honestly not something that I really thought about because I just knew that they were going to be a dog in
Sure.
this series no matter what. So I really didn't let that enter my mind. I didn't. Like when it came to like I honestly believe if the Celtics won in 7, like I was gonna hammer the Knicks in series number in the second round. I thought the Knicks were playing at a level the Celtics could not hang with their current situation. And I said that in the regular season. I was like, oh my God, Kada and Vucevic are gonna have to play defense here. This is gonna be terrible for them. So I felt pretty good about that. And I wouldn't have cared if they were underdog or favorite. In this situation, I just knew they were dogs. I almost don't even think of it like that. Like I will be throwing some sort of money on Knicks plus 170. Like probably not much, just enough to like feel alive, I guess. But um I I don't feel like an underdog. How about that? I don't
It
feel like the Knicks are an underdog in this situation. I feel like
it
they
feels like
are
it's up for
even.
grabs.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
feel like this is even as a plus 170 team could feel.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's up for grabs for sure. I don't think that I think no matter what, the games are going to be close. I think there'll be a laugher or two in the series. I think that you can tell that based off of both the Spurs and the Knicks playoff run. I think there's going to be a blowout early on. One of the teams is going to do it, but I don't think it's going to impact the rest of the series personally.
Yeah, and I think what's very interesting here, and this is going to probably show itself in a few different ways. The Spurs, even in their couple losses against the Thunder, were like dominating the first 5 minutes. Like the Thunder were
Yeah,
not willing to
came out
remove
hot.
Dort from the yeah they weren't willing to remove Dort from the lineup. He wasn't hitting shots and wasn't playing that great of defense in this particular matchup, and they wouldn't change. They kept getting run out of the gym in the first quarter, and once or twice they still came back. The Knicks have been kind of both ways, right? In the Cleveland series, they started kind of
Yep,
weird a game or two. Obviously, the major what's it called comeback was had to happen because they started so weird. Um, but then they just like started dominating first quarters. Like that first quarter of game 4 against
yep,
Cleveland, it felt like the Cavs were playing like really good offense, but the Knicks were just playing like insanely good offense. Like, oh my God, the Cavs scored 26 already and there's 4 minutes left in the quarter. Like, oh, but the Knicks have 40. What? So the first 5 to 7 minutes of game 1 and game 2, I could truly, that's where I feel the most unknown. That's where I feel like I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. Like
yeah.
I could see the Knicks being down by 18 in the first quarter, and I could see them scoring 45 in the first quarter. I could. That's where I feel I have no feel for the series is like the first 5 to 6 minutes of the first game and second game.
Permission to give a hot take.
Please.
I think that the Knicks are I'm going to say this iteration of the teams that I think the Knicks are the best team that the Spurs are playing in the playoffs. I'm not saying the Thunder on paper healthy, fully healthy, and everything like that. I think the Knicks are pretty clearly the best team that the Spurs have played all playoffs.
I agree, and I think that's exactly why I was having hesitation as a Knicks fan watching that series of like who you wanted to see in the next round. Because I said this earlier in the podcast, but I said I wanted the Spurs at the beginning of that
Right.
series, just because of matchup styles and etc. But knowing J Dub and AJ Mitchell's health was just not there, the Thunder seemed far less scary by the end of it, like far less,
Right.
and maybe that to the same point that we've been trying or I've been trying to make about the Knicks, part of that is credit to the Spurs defense, which is really objectively great, even though they're
Sure.
so young. Like it is true. Um, but I do agree with you. I think the way the Knicks are playing right now, they are better than the Thunder. And I'm curious if like J Dub was reported or AJ Mitchell was reported out for the whole series and J Dub was reported compromised for the series still, like would the Knicks have been even? Maybe not favored, but like even? I think that's realistic. Because the
Yeah.
prediction market, like the early market was saying, like, no, the Thunder will still be favored by more than the Spurs would be. But that's when the Thunder were up 3-2. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like a lot changed in a few days. A lot
Yep.
changed.
Yep. So I'm feeling good, man.
Wow. Look at us, dude. Hour 20 podcast about the Knicks playing in the NBA goddamn finals. And I'm so happy that you mentioned Julius Randle and you just kind of mentioned it. You shouted it out because he's obviously erroneous in this situation. I will give him a moment here. because you and I have been on the island since he was maligned, that,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we are not where we are without Julius Randle, man.
100%.
If he doesn't come to New York and make that push in the was his second year into the playoffs, or was his first year? I forget. Second year into the playoffs, beat the Cavs. Okay, Tibbs is doing some things here. This is cool. This feels right. Like, Randall's our guy. And then obviously had his ups and downs. And then obviously same thing in Minnesota, like, still a talented, good player who can win you games and can lose you games and can be really frustrating. But he helped change the trajectory of this franchise. And I hope that history sheds incredibly fondly on him in a Knicks uniform, because I think Knicks fans were pushing him out, especially once Brunson became Brunson. Like, all right, we're done with this guy. But without Randall, there's no Brunson. Without Randall, this whole run still feels like a wish list. And I think that's super important to say. And I won't talk about Tibbs yet, because I think even though Mike Brown's been great this playoff, you know us Knicks fans, we're emotional and floppers when we have to be. And if Mike Brown poops his pants in this series, you know there will be a segment of Knicks fans who said, I told you so. Tibbs was the guy to get this team across the freaking bridge, and I don't agree with that. But Tibbs deserves a major load of credit for this run as well. But I don't feel as willing to pontificate about him yet until this series goes one way or the other.
Oh, no, I couldn't disagree more. The four people that we need to shout out right now: Tibbs, Julius, Quickly, and RJ. Those are the guys that got us here that aren't here anymore. Those are 100% the foundation that got us here.
100%. Well, I agree. No, I'm sorry if I made that unclear. I agree that Tibbs deserves it.
Oh, I see.
I don't want to expand on it too much, because there's a lot to be said about his replacement still, even though he's been objectively very good. Very good. I'll say this entire year. Yeah, I know you don't disagree. I don't know you.
That's a crazy take. We're an hour and 20 in. I can't accept that.
I believe it. And I was not pro Mike Brown being hired. I really wasn't. He was like my third choice of the final three candidates. What he did all year was slowly and surely inspire a new offensive style. And that offensive style came to fruition in the last month or two. And then it really took off after they got their faces punched in the Hawks series. He played dudes. It's what we asked for with Tibbs for 2 years. Hey, why don't you play anyone else? They're not going to be ready in the playoffs. And then in the Pacer series last year, it was, hey, DeLon Wright, you've played 7 minutes this entire series of relevant basketball. Can you save us? He tried his best. He wasn't ready.
That's an unfair comparison. I don't disagree that Tibbs had his warts, but to say that Mike Brown was great all year when Cat played his worst basketball for the vast majority of his year in his career. Mikal Bridges played the worst basketball for a very long time for the entire year. And
OG played his best basketball, by the way, isn't it?
Sure. We didn't win a game in all of January. I know we probably won one, we did. But we went on a horrendous losing streak. Yeah. Cat was complaining to the media saying he was lost, and
yes. And he was found
very late in this. I'm not saying he didn't right the ship at the end. He absolutely did. I'll give you that. But to say that we were awful against the contenders, and I'm not saying against winning teams. I know that's going to be your contention there, but against true contenders like the Thunder, like the Pistons, any team that was like a 1 through 3 seed, we just were not good against this entire year.
It was actually just the Thunder and the Pistons. It was just that. Okay. Because we played well against the Celtics, we played well against the Cavs, we played well against the Spurs, we played well against the
Nuggets. I guess that's fair.
It was just the Thunder and the Pistons. And it was mostly just the Pistons that stung, because we played one really, really tight game with the Thunder, and one game we got blown out. So I agree with you to an extent that maybe me saying he was great all year is the wrong way to look at it. I think for the entirety of the year, he was great. And I'm not even talking about like, oh yeah, clearly he just swept 2 series in a row.
When we look back on this year, 5 years from now, we'll say this was a good season.
The job that he did for the entirety of the season is resoundingly positive for me, because guess what? Even if freaking Tyler Kolek gets his number called in this playoff series, he's played incredibly relevant minutes.
Played cup minutes.
Year. He was huge in that cup game. He's the reason we kind of won, low key. But like Jordan Clarkson staying ready, accepting his role.
That's fair.
Shout out Mike Brown. Like Cat finally finding his role and buying in. Mikal Bridges not knowing what he was doing and then knowing what the hell he was doing. Like at some point, Mike Brown gets a lot of that credit in my book.
Fair.
And
Fair.
and that doesn't mean he might not poop his pants. He could poop his pants. Anyone could. It happens to anybody.
He's just too smiley. He's just too smiley for New York, man.
Yeah, maybe he is, but maybe we're used to, when we're up by 35 in the fourth quarter and Tibbs is still playing the starters. Like, what? If Mo Diawara gets called in, or Huck Porty, we will see Huck Porty in this series.
100%.
We didn't mention him yet. He's not going to be relevant per se. He's going to play like 5 to 7 minutes.
He's going to be a foul absorber.
Yeah. Like Huck Porty played this season. Mo Diawara played this season a lot. We thought he'd be in the playoff rotation possibly. Like, that matters so much, because that's what the Thunder did last year. That's who the Thunder were last year, and it's not who they were this year because of injuries. But last year, like, oh my God, Aaron Wiggins just scored 20. Like, that could be Landry Shamet on Wednesday night.
True.
You know what I mean? Like, that's big. That's big.
True.
All right. I think that's all we got. Any last words here, Alec?
Let's go next. Go New York. Go New York. Go.
Wow. Go New York. Go New York. Go. Subway Sports Talk, live on Twitter. I haven't been keeping up with it and tweeting it out as much as I should have, because we're so locked into this conversation. But just under 100 people tapping in on Twitter. At least it hasn't refreshed in a while, maybe more, something like that. And I didn't check YouTube, but thanks to anyone who watched online live. If you didn't watch online live, you just listened on Spotify or Apple, and appreciate y'all there too. Drop your Knicks predictions in the comments on the Spotify, on the YouTube, on Twitter. We want to hear it. Alex says Knicks in 6. I say Knicks in 6. Perhaps it was always Knicks in 6. Always Sports Talk. That's all we got. Talk to you soon. Cheers.